So I hand over now to Ben Hobbs, International Campaign Manager for Generation Nutrition, which he will also tell you what that is. And I think you're based with Action Against Hunger in the UK.
Yeah.
Ben, the floor is yours. I'll give you the name tag as well. I forgot that with Megan as well. Oh, I'm starting to lose my concentration.
Don't know. Move this up a bit. Okay, thanks, Thilo, and thanks. I think it's I think it's a really great initiative that GTO and the German WASH Network have done with this conference. So well done on organising it and bringing so many people together. But there is one slight problem. It does mean that now, forever, Thilo, you're going to have to be a nutrition advocate as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to just whip through and just speak about Generation Nutrition, about the involvement of the WASH partners in our coalition, and then the issue of silos and how we can move beyond that, and then a little bit as well to introduce our publication on the links between WASH and child undernutrition. Okay, so I'm Ben Hobbs. I'm the campaign manager for Generation Nutrition. It's a civil society campaign calling on governments to take action to end child deaths from acute malnutrition. From undernutrition, as a slip of the tongue there. We were launched in April 2014, and the reason that stopping child deaths from undernutrition is so key is that we currently have around 2.5 million deaths amongst under fives, which are linked to undernutrition, and that's 45% of the overall deaths in this age group. We have around 50 organisations that are currently taking part in the campaign in 10 countries, both in the global north and south, and also at the EU level. In the first phase of the campaign, we focused heavily on the issue of acute malnutrition, and this was because it was evident that not enough progress had been made on that issue, on tackling that condition, and we've seen that rates of acute malnutrition have been very slow to fall over the past couple of decades, and it was also viewed as an issue which was confined to emergency settings. And through the campaign, we've highlighted that actually most of the cases of acute malnutrition are in development settings, and so need to be built into government responses into treatment in health services, over the long term as well. We also campaigned on the issue of acute malnutrition in the Sustainable Development Goals. And in the second phase of the campaign, we'll be pushing governments and donors to increase funding for the treatment and prevention of child undernutrition. And if you need to find out more, you can visit our website, which is generation-nutrition.org. There's a multi-sectoral profile to our coalition, and this reflects the multi-sectoral nature of the issue. We have several WASH partners taking part. EWP are a key partner for the campaign, and they're also a member of the steering group. WaterAid is also a partner, and Coalition Eau as well is a partner in France. And we're also hoping to extend the campaign to Germany as well, and to bring on board some more German NGOs into the campaign. So I think just in terms of why this collaboration between WASH and nutrition campaigners, I think I could describe it as a you scratch my back, I scratch yours philosophy. I don't know if it's a British expression, but anyway, perhaps I think you'll understand what I mean. And so for the WASH NGOs, it means that there are new channels for WASH advocacy. And for the nutrition NGOs, it increases the reach of a nutrition campaign beyond just the traditional nutrition actors. So there's a mutual benefit. And so I think that the last 2 days we've been looking at how we can perhaps develop this back-scratching model a bit more widely. So for us, having this multi-sectoral approach makes a lot of sense because undernutrition, the causes of undernutrition are so diverse. Now on to the question of campaigning and how you approach campaigning. I think there is a certain rationale to having silos, or perhaps you might want to call it a single issue campaign. So you can really kind of get to the nub of the issue. You can really hammer home your points with the governments and, you know, get some action on that specific question. But it also creates problems. And I think the key one is that, and Megan has already alluded to this, is that civil society groups, it means they miss opportunities for building broader platforms for advancing social justice and equality. And I think just to give one example of how sometimes we face these challenges in the campaigning space, I would say you could look at the SDGs process. And Generation Nutrition is generally pleased with the outcome of the negotiations for child nutrition. So there's a target about it, and there are also indicators on stunting and wasting which are likely to be adopted. And we've been pushing hard on those things, since the launch of the campaign. But I have to admit that I was fairly blind to what was going on in the other sectors during this campaign work, and this includes WASH. And each NGO grouping tended to focus on its own issue. And I'm not saying that this isn't necessary, because I think you need to do that to a large extent to get your result. But I think the consequence was that sometimes the macro perspective got lost. And so questions about the overall operability of the agreement were possibly ignored. And so what would the solution be here? I don't think it's to abandon campaigns that have a sectoral focus. That would be perhaps dangerous for me to advocate that. But to instead develop more shared visions. And I think what I mean here is that there should be more discussion about end goals. And so, broader end goals such as tackling poverty, ensuring basic rights. And for those discussions on shared visions to happen amongst NGOs across the board, and then to link up where necessary and also more frequently. And there should be more dialogue amongst senior staff in the different NGOs and also campaigners to make this happen. So just to move on to sort of our current bit of work. So we published yesterday this fact sheet, which is available as well in the entrance. I saw that quite a few people had picked it up. So that, this is our fact sheet, which explains the links between child undernutrition and WASH, and also makes some general recommendations for key actors in working on these things. So in the fact sheet, we set out the main pathways that link poor WASH with child undernutrition. And so we're talking about intestinal worm infections, environmental enteropathy, and diarrhea. And these are three infections which occur in situations of poor WASH and are directly connected to undernutrition. So we're calling on governments to break this link, and are saying that it can be done in two ways. So firstly, by investing properly in WASH. And secondly, by ensuring more efforts to collaborate across the WASH and nutrition sectors. But I think also bringing in the health actors as well, and to ensure integration where that is appropriate. So I don't know if we can just show on the screen the recommendations. Is it that? Cool, okay. That's the... Yeah. Cool, thanks. So just quickly to run through these. So we're calling on governments and other actors to integrate WASH into national nutrition policies, strategies and plans, but also the inverse, so the objectives on nutrition should be included in national plans and programs for the WASH sector. We're calling for the developing and strengthening of multi-sectoral action on the prevention of child undernutrition. And we see that there's a lot of potential to bring together WASH, nutrition and health actors to build their capacities jointly in relation to this area that we've been discussing at the conference. To promote flexible funding mechanisms which allow investments across sectors. To honour existing funding commitments made on WASH and nutrition, including the commitments at the Nutrition for Growth Summit in 2013 and the WASH commitments made under the Sanitation and Water for All partnership. And for there to be an increase in domestic and international funding for WASH, and to address shortfalls in funding, particularly on sanitation and hygiene. And finally, for a rights-based approach to be adopted, which includes the recognition of rights to clean water and sanitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ben, and great congratulations for the publication. I hope he doesn't have to carry any of them home. Yeah? I hope they all disappear off that table outside. And I like the you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. In Germany, we say one hand washes the other, which I think goes in line with our hygiene theme, yes?